Discussion time. Hey, what's up? Welcome to another video made by me, who's just SmZ, here's a newer player, etc. So this video is gonna be just me talking, so no gameplay for you, unfortunately. But there will be graphics, so if you just watch my videos for the games, then that's fine. Just close this video now, because there will be no gameplay or tips or, well, probably there might be a few tips, but not many tips. I will just be discussing random stuff. Well, not random stuff, specific stuff, but no gameplay. It will be about Han, though. This is a channel meant for Han and perhaps Dota 2 in the future, but that game is too beta right now for me to play. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be more of a talk video, so sit back or sit down and just listen if you wish, because I'm going to say some, I think, pretty important stuff. So just a brief overview. I'm going to talk about some types of thinking, which I'll explain later. Don't worry about it. I will be talking about the latest S2 heroes and why some of them are perhaps lacking in design, or what's up with the new S2 heroes anyway, like the new heroes being released. And then I will talk about kind of item balance, but more like giving suggestions to fix items. Like, you know how I give suggestions about hero balance, or rather how I made videos about hero balance, but in those I just point out if a hero is underpowered or not. Sometimes I mention how to fix the hero, but I didn't really present a solution. It was just a balance video. This time I will be taking a look at specifically 12 items and the suggestions to fix them. And I will also post links to forum threads in the suggestion category where you can just go, and it's really good. It's really good if you just go there and just vote yes, please. If you counted as well, that would be awesome. Last time it was really nice. I got like 40 plus votes, which is much better than like having 3 or 4 votes, which is how much usually suggestions get, and they just get stuck there forever and ever because nobody really reads the suggestion forums. Not as many threads are made there, and not a lot of ideas are good. But anyway, please, if you can, there will be links in the descriptions. Those will include 2 of my old ideas about the demonic breastplate and thunderclaw recipes, which I mentioned in my third balance video, and 12 new ones, plus 1 suggestion that is more to do with the spectator interface rather than other stuff. But I will include pictures. I will include pictures and graphics while I'm explaining, so that you know what I'm talking about and just stuff like that. Anyway, let's move on. There will be no music, by the way, because yes, there will be no music. Just no. So we move on to the first topic of types of thinking. Now, I'd say about 2 months ago, or at least a few months ago, this year for sure, not too long ago, I've acquired, or rather learned to think in a different way. The second type of thinking. Now we'll explain it. I'll explain, don't worry. So, about types of thinking. What is the second type of thinking I'm calling about that I acquired? I am not sure what this is called. Perhaps it's designer thinking, or this is what they call critical thinking, even though I googled that, and it kind of carries a similar idea, but it's more like critical thinking for game design. And this new type of thinking is for game design and can be applied in real life as well, but I use it for game design for now. And perhaps you can start thinking that way as well after some time. So anyway, first type of thinking is, from a game design point of view, faster and kind of worse. Basically, the difference between the two is the first type of thinking is when you want to add something to the game, or you want to change something in the game, you think, oh, well, this would sounds cool. This would look cool in the game. I want it into the game, or I want this change to this because, well, it sounds cool, so why not? And the second type of thinking is, well, why do I need to add this into the game? Why do I need to change this? To what should I change this, and what should this be changed to better? Anyway, I look back at my previous thoughts like many years ago and how I thought, and I think many of you probably can relate if you have ever tried to think of a hero for Han. Have you ever tried to think up a hero like, oh, I wish there was a hero with a sword who moves really fast or something, or someone, an anime character perhaps, like from Naruto, and like haters, oh, you like Naruto, it doesn't matter. a character that you wanted into the game. When you wanted to design a hero, what did you think? You probably thought of something cool or something that would, I don't know, work cool. And then you started thinking of skills. Like an example, this is the first type of thinking. And I did this as well when I was creating heroes on the Dota forums. Back when Heroes of New Earth didn't even exist, I was just creating heroes for Dota. Because well, it was just fun. Pretty much, just for myself, creating heroes with the hope that it would get implemented. And the way I created the heroes was like, oh well, I just want a cool hero that would do this and that, yeah, and I just implement that. But why, I never questioned myself. I just went with it because it sounded cool. This is the first type of thinking. So, for example, in the example of the fast-moving swordsman hero, for example, I want him to be like so fast that the eye can see, like, or something like that. So his first skill, well, when you think of his first skill, it usually deals damage. So something perhaps with his sword and with damage, and he should also have a passive that gives him movement speed, right? And his ultimate should make him move super fast. And there you go, your hero is done. It's like a hero that moves fast, right? And that's okay. This type of thinking isn't bad. It's sometimes not, well, most of the time it's not as useful, but it takes much less time. And it perhaps allows for a bit more innovation, even though that's debatable. And it's more kind of unintended mechanics. I will bring you a simple example of how this can bring unintended mechanics that are good. Creep spawns. Somewhere along the lines in the first versions of Dota, perhaps it was some other Hearts game. I don't know. I don't care. Like when it was created, someone thought, the developer, oh man, I wish it would be cool if you could go in the jungle and kill creeps and they would respawn later and you could kill them again. This would be so cool. I need to implement this. The first type of thinking. Cool, let's implement. So he implements it and then he's presented with a problem. Well, how do I know when to respawn creeps? Well, how about every minute it checks if there are any creeps there already, like still alive, then it doesn't spawn them. And if there are none, then it just spawns. Okay, cool. Nice, implemented. Jungles now have creeps. Next, or maybe before that, there was a ward idea. Let's create an item that places a ward and gives you some vision of the map. You know, vision is also a really good resource. You spend some gold and in return you get some vision. Yeah, ward idea, cool. Implemented, nice. And somewhere along the line, someone was playing a game and either by accident or not, placed a ward near creep spawn, just without thinking much about it. So the creeps were then killed and they didn't respawn because the algorithm checked, well, are there any units nearby? Well, ward counts as a unit, at least in the Warcraft 3 engine, and the units just didn't respawn. Boom. Ward blocking was invented, so to speak. And so then the developer was presented with the problem, well, oh man, I didn't think of this. Wards actually block creep camps. Maybe I should remove this. This is a bug. Yeah, I should remove this. And then he thought, well, wait, this is actually, now that I think about it, a valid strategy. You spend some gold, it's only temporary, and blocks the creep camp. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Cool. New mechanic, more skill in the game. And yeah, that's how neutral creep camp blocking was born. So that's the first type of thinking. And then there's the second type of thinking when you think, well, what does the game need right now? Like, if I add this, what does this do? What does this add to the game? Why do I add this? Is there perhaps some better way that I can implement this? Like, why would the game need this? And that's the second type of thinking, which takes, of course, a lot more time since you need to think it through more and you need to put it to the test, so to speak. And this is where new ST heroes come in, and this is where I'm gonna apply this new thinking theory. So some people have been mentioning that heroes have been lacking lately. Like the new ST heroes are kind of weird, or like the lag design or something. I don't know. People come up with different stuff, and you know, they're actually right. They are actually onto something, because that is partially true. You can see heroes, ST heroes that were released just recently that were made with this first type of thinking in mind. Let's take, for example, Gunblade. You can clearly see the thought process behind this hero. I want a hero that uses 2 guns and he's like cool and kind of undead with a scar on his chest. Yeah, just like I want a cool gun shooting hero. Like Flame Beastwood isn't cool, I want a cool one. Yeah, his first skill will shoot bullets and deal damage. Yeah, let's make it physical with a slow. Yeah, and you know what? I also want the guns to have blades on them so that you can deal more damage in melee range. Boom, passive done. His ultimate, well, he deals more damage in melee range and he has a slow skill. Let's make his ultimate pull you to the target. And the second skill, well, he has no escape mechanism. Let's just put a shield on him and give him some movement speed. And boom! There you go. Gunblade done. That's how Gunblade was born. And the question then comes, what does this hero add to the game? He's a carry that kind of deals more damage in melee range. I mean, if you want to deal more damage in melee range, just pick a melee hero. I don't know. I might have said something stupid here. I don't know. But yeah, Gunblade doesn't really add anything to the game. The idea behind him is just like, I want a cool hero with guns. And so Gunblade was implemented. So we move on to Blitz, another questionable hero, which is also underpowered. Like, balance is one thing, like hero being underpowered or overpowered and stuff, but what's the purpose? I want a hero that is based on movement speed and runs really fast. That's the idea. You can clearly see this is why the hero was made. A hero that is based on movement speed. So his first skill would deal damage based on the difference in movement speed since he's so fast. His third skill would give him maximum movement speed, or to someone else. Yeah, that will make him move fast. Then what should we do for a second skill? Oh, I don't know. Oh wait, look at Corrupted Disciple's second skill, W, the Corrupted Conduct or whatever, the static link thingy. That looks cool. What if it stole movement speed instead of damage? Yeah, let's add that to bullets, more to do with movement speed and slowing down. And ultimate, AoE damage plus slow. Boom, done. Blitz complete. And Blitz was released. And now not only is he underpowered, what is the freaking purpose of this hero? He doesn't really add anything to the hero that moves fast. No, he doesn't. He's still pretty slow. Like, he's kind of based on movement speed, but it doesn't really apply to the game in a good way. Like, he's not very useful. Yeah, bonus damage based on movement speed is cool, but it's not that cool. I mean, and you can't fully blame his style for this, because, well, good thing or bad thing, I'm not sure. Perhaps they're either low on manpower, or perhaps they just don't think in this second type of way, like, as much. Perhaps most of their designers think in the first type of way, like, it would be cool to add this, and so as a result of that, and combined with the time constraints of releasing one hero every 2 weeks, we get these heroes that are just cool, but they don't really add anything to the game. Just take a look at Kinesis, for example. What was the idea behind the hero? Again, telekinesis. A hero that can move stuff with his mind and lift units in the air. That's the second skill, and first skill done. And his ultimate also done, just lifting stuff in the air. And the third skill, well, telekinesis, mind, barrier, shield, boom, passive done. Kinesis complete. There we go. What does he add to the game? A cool hero that lifts stuff in the air. Yeah. So, not much of a thought process. Monarch also a bug. Her second skill is heavy slow, just random bug thing. First skill, also some kind of disable bug thing. Cocoon. The second skill, Cocoon. The third one was the AoE slow. Cocoon also just a support skill that is based on bug stuff. And ultimate, they ran out of ideas. Let's make it give movement speed and remove buffs. And Monarch was complete. I really didn't understand why didn't people complain about this hero being overpowered or something. Monarch is not that good of a hero. Like, really, she's not that good. And they continue to nerf her. She has very little synergy, or I would say forced synergy, and the idea behind the hero is just weird. Let's make a support bug hero that just supports and heals with a cocoon or something. That was the thought process, I think, behind the hero, and maybe sounds cool, but and Artesia, the idea behind this hero was, let's make a hero that deals a lot of magic damage often, so on a low cooldown. And that's her first and second and third skills complete. And for ultimate, I don't know, let's make it global, so that this is what will make the hero unique. And there you go, Artesia complete. Some global stuff just randomly added. Berserker. Berserker, the idea behind this hero, you have to charge into the enemy, so he should have some skill that helps him move towards the enemy, but no escape mechanism. Third skill was born. First skill just kind of a stun, gimmicky damage skill. His ultimate is something that would, well, Berserker. He will charge into battle and be very risky, so let's make his ultimate be something unique, a new mechanic. So they added the debuff reduction on the duration, so debuffs last less and he deals more damage. Ultimate complete, second skill, we still need a second skill. Just make it steel strength in an AoE, boom. Hero complete, Berserker, based on the concept of charging into battle. Yeah, it sounds cool, but what does it add into the game? Not much. And yeah, I think I'm done on this, but here's the thing. All hope is not yet lost. Not all hope is lost. There still are heroes released that have the second or a combination of first and second types of thinking. And those heroes, for example, are, even though this does not, like, it doesn't look, you can see this with the naked eye. There we go. So just before I touch any of these two heroes, how do you create heroes with the second type of thinking? Well, you think, what does this game need right now? For example, well, there's this tanky meta game where tanky heroes are really good and annoying, and even though they're tanky, they still deal a ton of damage. How about I create a hero that deals with tankiness? So that's something to start. Then you move on to the damage skill, and you think, well, since he's against tanky heroes, his first skill must deal a percent of the target's max or at least current health, so be against tanks. Also, the hero cannot be strength himself, because, well, I'm creating this hero against tanky heroes. I'm not creating another tanky hero. So he should be either agility or intelligence. And then you narrow down the skills and like work on other skills and designs, and you could get a hero that has a purpose. And in the very end, only in the very end, you think, well, okay, these are his 4 skills. What concept would go cool with it? Like, how would the hero look? You ask this in the very last moment. And if you take a look, for example, at Dream Han, or not Dream Han, just Dream, Heroes of Heroes, dream.heroesofnewer.com, where like people create heroes, you can see that most of the suggestions, like people complain about why don't you implement Dream suggestions, because most of the suggestions, unfortunately, are made with this first type of thinking in mind. I mean, most of them are just heroes that look cool and have a bunch of random skills added onto them for no real purpose. I mean, there are even like characters from anime like Pikachu or something. Like really, you add a Pikachu here to Han. I mean, I'm not entirely against the idea, like this type of thinking is required for some things, but really you just put I want Pikachu in your mind and you like don't even look away from that, and then you design skills that are based on Pikachu, but what do they add into the game? That's what you should be asking. So, second type of thinking heroes. There are actually some in Han, and one of them is Draconis. Draconis is actually one of those heroes where you might not see it at first, but I'm not sure if it was made with in combination with the first type of thinking, but the second type of thinking, I can definitely see it here. The thought process behind designing this hero. Well, there are push strategies that work really well, and a lot of the competitive players use a lot of push strategies, so we need something against the push strategies. And then Draconis was starting to being developed slowly, and like the first skill, it pushes back. It's a fire skill, like right? It deals damage, it pushes back and slows. Have you ever wondered why does it push back and slow? Like, it just at first glance it just seems like some random mechanic. Like, let's make it push back because it's cool, right? No. That's actually to prevent pushing. At least I hope it is. Like, I hope this is not just a coincidence, which happens a lot. But yeah, it is designed to stop pushes. So someone is pushing your tower, someone starts attacking your tower. You use Draconis' first skill. He deals damage in an AoE, which is good against pushes because there's a lot of summoned units involved usually. And it pushes the units back and slows them down so that they have to get back to the tower to start attacking again, delaying the push and dealing damage. His passive was created to deal AoE damage passively. Well, that's good against pushing again. And his ultimate allows him to attack multiple heroes at the same time, which in a push, usually there are multiple enemy heroes involved. So his second skill was created to, well, give him some kind of some kind of escape mechanism. Because, well, if you're gonna stand in the middle of enemies and like try attack them with your ultimate, there must be some way to, like, for you to escape, because, well, the heroes that are pushing will just jump on you and kill you, right? So a second skill and some kind of escape mechanism was required, so it gives a lot of movement speed, like you can reach maximum movement speed with it easily, and also it creates AoE damage while you're getting away to further stop the push. You can even try use it offensively. So all the skills were designed, and then they thought, well, who fits this concept? A lot of AoE damage and like perhaps burning. A dragon. Let's make it a dragon. And boom, Draconis was born. But even though you don't see it, Draconis is meant against, like, a hero against pushes. Yeah, arguable that he's a bit underpowered. That's why he doesn't see much use. But when you want to counterpick a pusher strategy, try Draconis. He will work very well. And artillery. A lot of people didn't like artillery because, like, the concept is blanders. I think those are just trolls, or I guess people can have their opinions, but really not a unique concept. A hero that attacks from 1,000 range isn't unique. Okay, artillery. Again, the same concept. I want to design a hero that stops pushes. So, but this time I'm going to go differently about it. There's the danger of, if you're too close, well, the heroes that are pushing are just going to kill you. So I'll make this hero attack from a huge range, and I'll make his skills work on creeps and even on ballistas, so that he can take them all down from a safe distance and deal a lot of damage at the same time. And to make this hero not make this skill not as good just against any normal situation, I'll make it targetable so that you can miss it against heroes, and probably will miss it most of the time. So there you go, that's the first skill. The second skill might seem like some random slow added, like you just added a random slow. No, that's not really true. Excuse me, I need to drink. It's not really a random slow. It's designed to stop pushing or slow down pushing. So when someone is coming towards your tower, like a whole bunch of creeps and heroes, you use your first skill and you slow all of them down, delaying their push, giving you more time. The third skill also allows you to attack from a distance, so that you don't endanger yourself when you're stopping a push strategy. His ultimate, well, AoE damage plus stun, which is good against pushes. And if someone from the pushing heroes does come close to you and tries to kill you, you can just get away and continue stopping the push. So this hero was clearly made with the design goal of, we need something against the pushing strategies in mind. Like, it was there, you can see it. And then, like, weapons and robot stuff was added because, well, who can deal damage from a distance? Probably some kind of robot who shoots rockets or bullets at least. So that's the point of artillery. The huge range is kind of present in the initial thought process, but that's not the reason why he has huge range, like just to have a cool hero with long range. It's long range because it's to help stop pushes. Shadowblade was, well, you can also use unique concepts in the second type of thinking, like something that looks cool but you would build on it. Like, what would this add to the game? Well, this would add a unique type of hero that no other hero does even remotely close. Like the same thing with Gemini. Like, let's create a hero that can split and join back in and abuse this fact that he can do this, and like creates a kind of really unique mechanic. Like, really unique mechanic, not just hero looks cool or hero just has long range, but really unique heroes like Shadowblade and Gemini. They, I think, were created with the second type of thinking in mind, and why they are good, I think. So yeah, artillery and Draconis, this new type of thinking. And actually, a good thing, the new hero Ellonia that is getting released on Friday, or already released if you're watching this video late. When you think of this from the first type of thinking kind of way, oh, this is just another ice-based hero like Frost and stuff. We already have Glacius, we don't need this hero. But you see, the problem is that this hero might not have been ice. Like, it's just coincidence that he's made of ice, because the hero was designed to have these slows and AoE damage skills, and then they decided, oh well, this kind of fits into an icy theme. So let me explain again. This is all against pushing. So Artillery, Draconis, and Ellonia, then all heroes meant to stop pushing strategies, which is, I think, good. So Han is good in the right direction. The second type of thinking. So the first skill, which is like Aluna's power throw, but it also slows, deals damage in an AoE, which is good against pushes, and slows, which is again slows down pushes, which is good. Second skill also AoE damage and slow, which also stops pushes. And ultimate, same thing, AoE damage plus slow. And the third skill, which stuns based on the duration, on the amount of slows you got, that is kind of, it's not really there to help you chase a hero or something. Like that's not the initial purpose I think they had in mind when they created the skill. It's like, it seems like the skill is out of place, but it's against pusher heroes who are just way too persistent. Like, you use all of your skills, you slow them down, and they still keep attacking your tower. They're like, I don't care, you used all their skills on me, I don't care, I have a ton of HP. And you punish those heroes that still stay there and take all your slows and ignore them by giving a longer stun. So when chasing a hero, yes, this skill might not be as useful because you only like manage to get a few stacks of slow. But when someone is pushing and he just keeps taking all your slows, he will be punished with this third skill. So first skill is an AoE slow, second skill AoE slow, and ultimate is an AoE slow. What hero could use this concept? Like, then they had to come up with how the hero would look like after the idea was finished. And then they thought, well, ice slows in an AoE, that could work. There are other options. They could have used mystical energy, which would be kind of counterintuitive and hard to understand for newer players. They could have used poison like Plague Rider, but poison is more like dealing damage over time than slowing down. And so they decided, let's go with frost, because everyone can associate frost with slow and stuff. And that's why Ellonia was born. To stop pushing strategies, and not because we want another cool ice hero. No, that was not the thought process, definitely, because yeah, we already have Glacius. So this second type of thinking exists. I am not sure who were the designers of the heroes. I'm pretty sure that they have multiple people designing heroes, like at least 5, but I would say, like, not with 100% certainty, I would say that one person either designed or had a say in the design of Draconis, Artillery, and the new hero Ellonia, because you can see the same type of thinking there. And the rest of the heroes were probably designed by other people since they just look cool and stuff. So I think that covers that. Just a reminder about the dream side. Yeah, most of the heroes are just designed with this cool type of thinking, so they don't really add anything to the game. Besides that, to implement those is to really needs to look through them and find the good ideas. And the only reason Sulfuris was implemented was just kind of a dream hero, because, well, the community always cries, well, why don't you implement people's ideas? Well, that's because people most of the time just want a cool looking hero. But I wouldn't say that the developers themselves are not to blame for this, because their own ideas are often just cool sounding and stuff. But at the same time, they're developers, it's their game, and they can do whatever the hell they want. So that is unfortunate. So that's my take on the two types of thinking. First type of thinking in game design. This is about game design. I don't know about other stuff, but like, it makes people just think it makes sense. In real life, for example, when a kid does something bad, you beat him up, and you expect, well, it makes sense to beat him up because he will learn that if he does something bad, then he will get beat up. He will know that, and he won't do it again because he will be scared. But people don't beat up kids as often nowadays, because like, it's thought of as being really bad in child abuse and stuff, and that isn't a bad thing. Like, some people say, well, like, oh, these days kids have too much freedom. Well, not really. It's just that our parenting methods still suck just as much as before. I think just that we don't beat up kids, and what you should do is encourage good behavior. And I posted this on the forums today. Like, people were talking about harassment and how the community is bad and stuff, right? So the problem is that we focus too much on punishing bad behavior instead of rewarding good behavior. And a good example of how the rewarding good behavior would work, for example, if you had a troll in Han who's just trolling, like being a huge dick and stuff, right? And some other good player would just take his trolling and still try to play good, and in the end, what does the troll get? Well, he could get banned. He could get banned if he's reported and he's found guilty. But what happens then? The troll thinks, oh, I grieved you so much that you had to report me. And he will probably just go and create a new account. And the good person, for all his trouble in reporting, he gets what? Nothing? Like, it even costs him some coins to submit a report. The whole system is just retarded. Like, honestly, the system is retarded. I hate report a player because at the moment the implementation just sucks. It's good that we have something to fight griefers, but it's not the best tool. Now, imagine a different situation. Imagine that, like, this is just like a fantasy world. It's not real, but imagine if the good player that took all the griefing and still tried to play good got paid $10. Of course, that's not going to happen probably ever, unless like in year 3000, but imagine if the good player got paid. What happens to the troll? Well, the troll trolled, but the good player got rewarded, so the troll is probably kind of sad, and he sees that he didn't really get anything. Another thing, it doesn't matter how many accounts that troll will create, even if he creates 10 accounts, if he continues being a bad player, like a bad person, I would say, then he won't get any gain from it. Nothing. On the other hand, no matter how many accounts the good guy creates, he will always be rewarded for his good behavior. So the troll will pretty quickly, I would say, stop trolling and pick up that if he wants to get some benefits in this game, then he better start acting as a decent person. And that's how kids should be raised, I think. Like, don't say like smoking is bad or stuff, blah 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 blah. Like, this is a bad example. Of course, this needs a lot of thinking. I didn't spend much thinking on this. I spend most of my thinking in game design. But imagine if, for example, you told your kid, I'm gonna give you an allowance and I'm gonna raise it as well, as long as you don't smoke. You can start smoking, that's completely your deal, but I will stop paying you if you do. Like, of course, not every kid just wants money, but that's the idea. You can like come up with different ways to like promote good behavior. But yeah, promote good behavior. Do not punish bad behavior. The only times it's needed is like in very, very corner cases when someone just keeps spamming and harassing everyone. Just then, yeah, perhaps he could be banned because he's just toxic. But reward good behavior. And almost no games do that at the moment. Like barely any games do that. Like really barely. Han had that alternate avatar giveaway, you know? Like you could get the Professor, Dr. Pulsar avatar if you got a friend into Han, but the thought process behind that wasn't to help the community, but rather get more people into Han. So they're interested in money pretty much. They're not really interested in improving the community or anything, which I think is bad. Money is, yeah, kind of important today, but it shouldn't really have such an impact on your thinking. So yeah, that's like, you could get cool perks in Han. Maybe even like one of the most helpful people, like the helpfulest people out there, could have a say in like Han development. They could like be invited to chat with the developers and like give ideas or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there are many ways to reward people for good behavior. How much have I been going on? 34 minutes. Wow, that's a lot. So yeah, rap sucks, but I think we will have to deal with it for quite a while. Lister probably won't listen. I don't think Malkin is too interested in anything that does not bring him more money. Although I would argue if the community becomes good, then more money will be made. Then again, Malkin isn't really the best example of the nicest person, since he does say quite bad stuff in games when he's playing. But, you know, he has money already. He has a lot of stuff. Not sure what else could he want. He has a final say in Han, but yeah, we need to report him. Like, report him and get him banned. Like, he's the corner case. Yeah, just kidding. But anyway, we move on from the critical thinking stuff, from discussing the new heroes, from discussing our community. We move on to item suggestions. So, what I want you to do is to go and just vote yes, and if you can, post a comment, because it bumps the thread and gives me more opinions Like, it gives you more feedback. And yeah, even if you don't like the idea, vote yes. Yeah, this time I'm not gonna tell you that you can vote no. This is dictatorship now. You have to vote yes on the suggestion, because otherwise it's just pointless. Because suggestions are already barely implemented. Let's at least try get something in. So, first of all, I'd like to mention two of the suggestions that I have previously posted in the Balance 3 video. The first being the Thunderclaw change. I remind you, I want the item not to be random based, but charge based, so that on 5 charges you automatically proc a lightning, which is 20% of the time, like 20% of your attacks, which is theoretically the same as with a 20% chance. This will make the item just more reliable. Yeah, if you like random, play Blacksmith. There we go. Just don't touch the items. Something that every hero can pick up. Like, there's already too much random in items. Like, we can leave 1 or 2 items for random, but not all of them, too many at the moment. And the second suggestion that I've posted previously is about the demonic breastplate. It's just to replace the ring mail in the recipe to a plate mail. So the new recipe will be the warp cleft, which is the plus 55 attack speed item, plus Soul's Bulwark plus plate mail, which is the plus 10 armor item. The goal is roughly the same. What this allows you to do is to disassemble the item and use the components for something else. And when you pick up a plate mail, the enemy won't know, oh, this guy, he got a plate mail because he's going for a Frostfield plate. Now they will think, well, I don't know, is he going for a Frostfield plate or is he going for a demonic? So more depth in the game, like more choices and stuff. That is good. And it also simplifies, like removes an unnecessary recipe. So that's 2 suggestions done. So next suggestion I move on is a spectator interface improvement. And I have this thread open here, so will hear some mouse clicks, and I will show you some graphics. So I propose we add a new spectator interface element called Spirit Strength or Spirit Vision. So when the caster is casting a game, like as a spectator, he would have a button that would switch his view into Spirit Vision or Spirit View, which would create a burning soul or some kind of burning flame over heroes that would indicate how strong the hero is in terms of his farm. And by farm I mean how high is his GPM and experience per minute, XPPM, compared to other heroes. If it's really higher, like much higher than others, then his glow, like flame, would be super big and like colorful. On the other hand, if he would be one of the weakest heroes, like with only 1 last hit and like no farm and like roaming, then his spirit would be really, really small and colorless. As an example here, I see a normal screenshot where there's a mage band in the raw. Just ignore that this is a practice game, okay? This isn't a practice, this is a real game. And there are like 4 other heroes somewhere on the map, or like 8 other heroes. Now let's assume that Amun-Ra is like super farmed, like freaking 50 last hits and 50 denies. And Mageman has like 10 last hits total, like both last hits and denies. And nobody else on the map comes close to Amun-Ra. Like at most anyone else has like 20 last hits. So Amun-Ra is like super farmed. And ignore that he's level 5 and Mageman level 6. Let's imagine Amun-Ra is like level 10. So you would press a key to switch in this vision to this vision, and boom, this is what you would get. Like you can clearly see that Amun-Ra is stronger. So what's the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to help new players. Like say a new person to Han, like who hasn't really seen Han before, just stumbles upon a stream. Like he just sees a stream randomly, like of a game being casted, played, and he thinks, well, what is this? What does he see? Well, he probably sees a bunch of mumbo jumbo and has no idea what's going on. He just sees a bunch of heroes. So with this vision, he would quickly understand, like, oh, I use the concept that everyone can understand something on a basic level. So souls, I think everyone knows what souls are, more or less. So even a person who doesn't know Han would quickly understand that, oh, so this game is about heroes, since, well, they have souls and everyone else is just soulless. Like, could we just continue dying without souls? Yeah. And the hero with the bigger soul is probably stronger. And then he might get interested, well, what makes your soul grow? Does he eat spirits or something? And they will find out that actually need to get less hits to increase your soul strength. And you will quickly know what hero is stronger and what hero is winning, because at the moment it's pretty hard to tell what hero is stronger just by looking at them. Like you need to go look at their stats and their items and then deduct, well, this hero is probably stronger. Yeah, This way you can just see, a new person will understand, perhaps get interested in Han, and even experienced players can just switch to this vision, not bother with all the stats, and just see, oh yeah, so this hero is stronger. Also macro hard posted in my thread saying that the suggestion is good. So that's my idea of spirit strength. This is just to help new people watch Han games, pretty much the only reason. Like, we don't really need this, and this is a spectator only change. Like, we the players don't need this when we're not watching a game. We just, like, this does not affect gameplay in any way, shape, or form, but it does help new people, and I think it's a really good suggestion. I've mentioned it in one of my previous videos, like when I discussed problems in Han. So next, I have an item suggestion for you, a brutalizer rework. So right now the problem is that brutalizer requires agility and strength items as its components. So the problem with that is, if you're an agility hero, you get damage from agility and you get health from strength, which, since you're agility, you're probably squishy and you need health, which is good anyway. And strength is good to get in pretty much all cases. So this, as an agility hero, works on you well. But if you're a strength hero, then that doesn't work so well, because you don't really need agility, as you don't benefit nearly enough. Like, paying 1,000 gold to get plus 10 agility does not even nearly pay off. Thus, this item is only viable on agility heroes. Besides that, the item is much worse on ranged heroes. The percent chance to stun is lower, from 25% to 10%, and the duration of the stun is also decreased from 1.4 to just 1 second. So this hero is only usable on heroes that are melee, agility, and, since this item is based on chance, fast attacking. Fast attacking melee agility heroes, which is like Scout, Mage, Bin, and can't really think of anyone else at the moment. And even then it's questionable. So I propose we rework this item, and we remove the Quick Blade from the recipe, and replace it with a Major Totem and a Punch Dagger. So the Major Totem, the item that gives you plus 4 to all stats, and a Punch Dagger that gives you 9 damage, and decrease the recipe cost by 100, from 1,100 to just 1,000, to make it easier to remember. The total cost is reduced by like 60 gold. Instead of 3,100, it's 3,040. So the new stats would be, it still gives plus 20 damage like before. It gives plus 15 strength now instead of plus 10, because it's plus 10 from the Mighty Blade, plus 4 from the Major Totem, and I added plus 1 for completing the recipe. Now it gives plus 5 agility and intelligence, which can be used by all class, like any, not class, but any attribute hero can get this. Like agility heroes can get this, strength heroes can get this, intelligence heroes can get this, because everyone can use strength and everyone can just use some stats. And Bash has also been reworked. Now it's not random, it uses charges again. And if you hate random, just play Blacksmith, please. There are too many random based items. It's hurting the game, it's hurting the competitive scene. And you're not picking this item up anyway, probably. Don't be a hypocrite. Let's fix it. So now you need to get 4 charges. Like, you gain 1 charge in attack, and once you get 4 charges, you proc a stun, like 100% guaranteed. And once in 4 attacks is 25%, so the same as before. Or for ranged heroes, I put this at 7 charges. At first, well, if I were to leave this at 10%, it would be 10 charges, but attacking 10 times for 1 stun is kind of overkill. So I lowered that to 8 charges, but I thought that was still way too high. Lowered it to 6 charges, and I thought, well, perhaps on ranged heroes this is a bit too small, because, well, ranged heroes will be stunning a lot of times from a range, which could be annoying. So 7 charges, lucky and perfect numbers seem to me. So you need 4 charges on a melee hero, or 7 charges or attacks on a ranged hero. Now the stun is the same, 1.4 seconds for melee or 1 second for ranged heroes, and the cooldown is the same. So it has a 2-second cooldown, and bashing properties do not stack, so it does not stack with Chronos. Like, you cannot stun 2 times in a row. While the cooldown is on, you cannot collect charges. So now you might need more attacks to get a proc, but should be the same on average, I think. So you need 4 attacks, it procs, then you need to wait 2 seconds, and then you need 4 charges or 4 attacks again. Oh, I think I'm dying a bit. Sorry about that. So before, it would deal 25 damage. 25 bonus physical damage when you proc the stun, and I wanted to replace this. Well, I thought, what does the game currently need? Well, there's the problem of tanky heroes, and we don't really have items besides just pure damage that deal with tanky heroes. So I thought, let's make this item deal damage based on max health. So the item, instead of dealing just 25 damage when it procs will deal 5% of target's max HP in bonus physical damage. So what is 5%? Well, if you have 500 health, then it's 25 damage like before. If you have 1000 health, it's 50 damage. If you have 2000 health, it's 100 damage, and 3000 health, 150 damage. And that's pretty much it. And 7 charges is about 14% of attacks. So raised from 10% to a 14% chance to proc, so to speak. So what do we have now? We have an item that can even be picked up by support heroes. That's right, on a support hero you would get this item, you would attack 6 times to get 6 charges, and then you would wait for a fight, and you would just attack the carry or the tank. You would get a guaranteed stun, and you would also deal damage based on their max health. So help him a lot as a support player. So this item can now be picked up on pretty much anyone. Is it balanced enough? Well, balance is balance. I can't really tell you too much about balance on an item that does not exist in the game, but this would definitely improve it. So that's the new brutalizer. Quick blade removed, replaced with a major totem plus punch dagger. Recipe cost reduced by 100 to 1000, and now bash is based on charges instead of just being chance based. So if you can, please go and vote and comment and make me feel good. Next we have Sacrificial Stone. There's like a ton of problems. I'm not sure I can go over everything in this video. You can just read the thread, like if you enjoy a read. This item is this item is not this item is weak. This item is simply weak and bad and all sorts of bad. It's just bad. It's so hard to get, and the idea behind the item is to make you snowball, like give you the chance to snowball. If you get like 20 charges, you will have like crazy HP and mana regen, right? But the item is so hard to acquire and does not give you anything when you complete the recipe. Like you spend 5,000 gold, you finally get it, but it doesn't really give you anything apart from some survivability. That's not really gonna help you much in snowballing. Like to snowball, you need to get items fast and items that improve your farming so that you can get other stronger items faster. Getting Sacrificial Stone fast is bad. So I looked at the components and I saw Icon of the Goddess, the item that is created when you combine a glowstone, a beast heart, and a pickled brain. This item is not used anywhere else, and it's besides the Sacrificial Stone recipe, and it's just kind of a waste anyway. And to make the snowballing effect work, the item needs to be possible to get this item earlier. So I thought, well, let's remove Icon of the Goddess altogether and just make Sacrificial Stone be Icon of the Goddess in terms of recipe components. So the new recipe components for it are glowstone, beast heart, and pickled brain. And I need a drink again because I'm dying. Sorry about that. These talk videos will always kill me. I think my head is spinning a bit, but okay. We move on. So Sustainer is not used in the recipe, but that's okay. Sustainer is already used in 3 other items, so that's cool. Now for the bonuses this item would give. It would give plus 450 HP, just like before from the recipe components, plus 400 mana, like before. It would still collect charges when an enemy hero dies, just like before, in a huge AoE, but you would instantly jump up to 3 charges when you're gaining a charge, no matter what. For example, if you're on 0 charges, you would jump to 3. Or if you're on 1 or 2 charges, you would still jump to 3, but after that it would be 1 charge per time. This is to help the item pay for itself when you actually manage to get it, because, well, you get no bonus when you complete it at all. Like, it doesn't give anything, it doesn't increase your damage, so you should be rewarded, and like, you should start snowballing if you actually spent time and money on buying this item, if you actually manage to get a kill. So next we have the mana regen and health regen. I reduced the mana regen a bit because the item will be much stronger because of something else I changed. But anyway, mana regen per charge decreased from 1 to 0.5. This isn't important. This is just like balance changes balance is balance. Again, this is just what I think will be balanced, but it might not be. So it gives still 0.25 HP regen per charge and plus 25 max HP per charge. Now then, when you die, instead of leaving a shard that just stands in place and gives you vision and experience in that area, you will leave behind a ghost or spirit that would gain experience and vision in an area around it. The difference is you would only gain half of the experience for balance purposes, and you would be able to move the ghost. I propose it has like 250 movement speed or something simple. So basically, it gives vision and experience, and you can move it. Also, enemies should see it for various purposes, but it should pretty much remain like the shard that is now. Like the shard it leaves now, just it makes it move, make it movable. The ghost is also unclickable, like no one else can click on it or control it besides the person that died. So now you have two options when you die. You can move the spirit to some area where creeps are dying, right? So that you gain experience still while you're dead, but it's only 50%. Or you can use it to scout and give vision to your allies and stuff, and like see enemies, and perhaps when they're pushing, they will see, oh, the spirit is here, this guy sees us, he knows we're here, maybe we should slow down on the push, like it could scare them off. So now the death effect will actually be useless. I mean useful, not useless. Next we have the heal when you die. The problem with the heal is that if you have a sacrificial stone, then you're probably tanky, you're probably ahead in a team fight. And you probably die first or second, you get focused down first. And the problem with that is your heal, if someone is on full health, your heal helps them in no way at all. Also, the idea of an item, which the name suggests, sacrificial stone, is that you sacrifice yourself to help your allies so that they get healed, right? So I changed that since, well, if they're full in health, your death is useless to them, to health regen. Their health regen is decreased by 25 plus 3 multiplied by the number of charges, which is just numbers, you can forget them right now. The point is that it gives you health regen for 10 seconds and also gives mana regen. 20 plus 2 multiplied by charges for 10 seconds. So for 10 seconds you get highly increased mana regen and health regen instead of just a static leg. So you can try and die tactically. You can try die so that your allies can keep pushing. Like it could actually work, right? So now you can die strategically while your allies get healed and get more mana to use more skills and continue to push. Good. And another change I did was to the mechanics. So if you lose less gold and you revive faster when you die, based on your charges, which is, I think, retarded. Well, it's like one of those ideas that sounds cool, but what does it do to the game? Yeah, again, my types of thinking. I could be annoying at this point, but I'll continue. So, types of thinking, it would be cool to have an effect that, like, you lose less gold and you revive faster. And as a consequence of this effect, people might think that, oh, perhaps this carries on the idea of the sacrificial stone. That's what I thought. So that you can revive faster or have more gold for a buyback, so that you can join your allies faster after you die, strategically, I take it. But it kind of fails. It's a weird mechanic. It includes a lot of math, like you have to think, well, how many charges I have, how many, like what's half of those charges, how much gold will I save, how much faster will I revive, like all this math, and it's just weird. Gravelock it already does this in a simple way as well. Like Gravelock it revives you 10 seconds faster if it's charged. Boom, there we go, revive faster thing. Like, why does sacrificial stone need this as well? So that kind of sucks. So next we have the gold loss, which is just a weird mechanic. Like, you lose less gold when you die. What's up with that weird mechanic? Like, it's based on charges, it's not just static. So if you do really good and kill like 10 people, you will lose a bit less gold when you die. It's almost useless. And it's completely useless when you're playing casual mode. Oh, don't bring casual mode into this. Well, I have to mention it because I can. This is my video. Anyway, I need a drink as well. So yeah, casual mode, something to think about. You don't lose gold when you die. So in casual mode, you don't lose gold when you die, so this mechanic is completely useless. I replaced the entire thing of based on charges, less gold, blah blah blah. The only thing based on charges is the health and mana regen you give to your allies. I left that. And I replaced it with a tactical thing. Reduces the buyback cost by 25%. So you can try and die strategically. You can give your allies the buff, and you can actually do the math in an easy way. Like, you can look at your gold stats when you hover over the gold and think, well, how much gold will I lose when I die? How much is the buyback cost now? Perhaps the stats could include the 25% reduction in the buyback cost. And like, will I have enough gold for a buyback then? And if yes, then I will just die strategically and then revive, like buy back instantly and join you guys in battle again. So that's the new item, the new sacrificial stone. And that's most of the explanation. There's maybe a bit more explanation, but I think I've covered most of the stuff. And you can read about it as well if you just go and vote for it. So yeah, I put a lot of thought in sacrificial stone now. Like, what's the purpose of that? It seems that at the moment it's just there because it looks cool and works cool, I guess, but it doesn't really work. Or yeah. So next we have Energizer. Energizer. The thought process behind this item, I can actually see it, and I will tell you about it. So, fortified bracers can now be upgraded into an astrolabe, right? And the talisman or amulet of exile can also be upgraded in Ring of Sorcery and a tablet of command, or no, and a Ring of Sorcery and a Grave Locket, right? So the heads of this two thought the designers will, like, bracer is used in a recipe, and amulet of exile is used in a recipe. We need something for the Soul Scream ring as well, right? Right? We need something for that as well. So what should it be? Well, let's make it use Major Totem as a recipe component because it's underused and it just gives stats, it's just good. And what should the effect of the item be? Okay, stats is cool, but what should the effect be? Speed, agility, let's make it give movement speed. Boom, that's it, Energizer complete. And was added into the game. But with the second type of thinking in mind, I ask, why was it added into the game? What does it add to the game? What does it give? It's just a Ghost Marcher's effect on multiple units. We already have it. It doesn't really add much. Yeah, you can give movement speed to other people, but might as well get Tablet of Command if you want that. So, yeah, like a Ghost Marcher's effect on other people. Like an active actual effect. Like, it works exactly the same, just costs mana to activate. So I propose a remake of this item to completely change its purpose and maybe make it a bit too strong, but you know, balance. Anyway, it would still use the same recipe components and give the same stats, but the active effect would be completely replaced. Because the only use of it now, I think, because, well, even if you do give your allies some bonus movement speed, usually that bonus movement speed for 5 seconds won't really matter. And even if it does, it still doesn't pay off, even if you manage to save one ally per game, which I mentioned in the thread as well. But active skill removed. Replaced with a movement speed aura, which gives 5% movement speed to heroes, like yourself and allied heroes, not enemies, and 20% movement speed to allied units and your own units. So, an explanation, it can still be used for an Ophelia, which is the only hero you would ever get this item on, so that your creeps ignore pathfinding, but it can still be used, yeah, on summoner heroes, but it can now also be used for other stuff, which is pushing in a unique way. So, you can, like, people create pushing items, and I'm not really against pushing too much, it's perhaps a bit too strong now, that's the problem, but, I mean, pushing helps end games faster, and that's why I kind of like it. Right? So people come up with ideas that just buff the push directly, like give you bonus damage or increase your armor or heal the units, and we already have that stuff, right? So I thought, why not add to the pushing strategies in a unique way, like a new way that will help, like make units move faster. So when you have this item, you would switch it on. Oh, by the way, you can switch it on and off. Yeah, I forgot to mention, to turn the unit aura on and off. The hero aura is always on, but you can make the units go slower and faster, so to speak. You can either give them the movement speed boost or not, so you can control how fast the creep wave moves and where it ends up. So perhaps in a race based, like a tower race situation where one team is pushing one lane and the other team is pushing another lane, the team with this item that makes the creeps move faster would actually get to the tower faster and start working on it faster, which helps the push in a unique way. But even though you get there faster, you don't really push harder because you still have the same damage and stuff. So yeah, just giving you an option to push in a unique way and like control creep waves more or less. So this item would be with a completely unique purpose now and just picked up on pretty much any pusher hero. So I think that would be cool, just making stuff faster. Also, like the movement speed buff on heroes is pretty small, but like it's not too high. It won't save your heroes often or net you a kill anytime like soon. But that's not the purpose. That's kind of just a buff to make you run as fast as the creeps, kind of. Even though you're still a bit slower, the main purpose of this item is to help you push in a unique way. So a new way to push, because you move faster. So that's the Energizer rework. The active effect is replaced. So that's it for the remakes. And last but not least, I'd like some suggestions for buffs. First is Harkon's Blade. The mana cost is just too high because you ran out of mana so fast when you have a Harkon's Blade, and people just don't get this item often. And they say like how in theory it's overpowered and deals a lot of damage late game. Well, nobody gets it still, and you yourself probably don't get it either, even though it's so good. So please stop saying that it's overpowered, because it's really not that strong. And if it's picked up any more than it is now, like people actually start picking this item up, people will also learn how to counter it, which is Shrunken Head, different kind of skills like Magebane and Devourer, Shaman's Headdress, which makes you deal pretty much the same damage as with physical attacks, and best of all, a Barrier Idol, which will make your attacks cost 75 mana per attack and deal 0 damage. So I propose a simple thing. The problem with this item is that if you just use it to kill some heroes, or like in a team fight, you win a team fight, then you continue pushing. When you actually get to the base, usually you pretty much have no mana left to spend. I mean, 10 attacks, and 750 of your mana is gone with just 10 attacks. So, and this item can be countered, and if it's picked up any more than now, people will learn to counter it, so it will become even worse than it is now. A proposed mana cost per attack is decreased from 75 to 35. This is of course up to balance, but this definitely needs to be decreased one way or another, because right now it's way too hard to keep your mana up with this item, even though it gives a ton of intelligence, which by the way is another reason why this item isn't picked up, because not everyone needs so much intelligence. But yeah, even with the mana regen, it's still, your mana runs out way too fast for the damage offer. Yeah, the damage is pretty good, but it's not like, oh my god, no. It needs to cost less mana, I think. Next we have a Rift Shards buff. Now the reason this item needs a buff is because Savage Mace is simply put better. Early game, Savage Mace gives pretty much the same damage, like in terms of pure damage, from the chance-based thing as well, like including the chance-based thing. But of course, for Savage Mace, the chance is 35%, which is much more reliable than like 10 or 20% on the Rift chart. So it deals roughly the same damage early game, and it's much more reliable. And late game and mid game, yeah, Rift Shards deals a bit more damage, but that's pure damage. What I did not include yet is that Savage Mace gives attack speed as well. Yeah, it also gives 15 attack speed actually. And with that in mind, Savage Mace is also probably on the same level or maybe better than Rift Shards even mid game. And don't forget that Savage Mace also has True Strike and Mini Stuns. Mini Stuns don't just help against channeling, trust me. It also stops attacks in midair, like when you're doing an attack animation, and also against cast animations. When you're casting a skill and boom, you get mini stunned and get cancelled. You have to cast it again. And True Strike, which pretty much a skill against evasion and pretty much guarantees that you will never miss. Some people don't know that it's not just against like Windbow and heroes like Zephyr with their third skill and Nighthound with their Cloud that make you miss. It's not just against those. Don't forget that there is a miss chance when you're attacking uphill, which is a 25% chance to miss your attack completely when you're attacking from downhill to uphill, which is either mid or more often when you're assaulting an enemy base. So when you get True Strike, Savage Mace, you get rid of this miss chance. You always land your attacks 100% guaranteed, which from 75% to 100, math works in a weird way. It's actually a 33%, not a 25%, like you might think. 33% damage increase when you're attacking uphill. So Savage Mace is pretty much in every way better than Rift Shards. So I thought Rift Shards needs a buff. And I came up with armor reduction. Again, against tanks and stuff. Tanky heroes need nerfs and stuff, right? So when you actually proc a critical strike, you would get applied 1 charge of Rift for 10 seconds. And if you apply, like, get another crit and apply another charge of Rift to the target, the duration of all the charges would reset. Like, it wouldn't just slowly build up to 3 charges and then slowly drop down to 0 charges. It would build up, and once the duration runs out, you lose all charges. But at the same time, you retain all the charges until the duration runs out. So basically, you get a lucky proc, like a crit, like 20% chance on level 4, and 1 charge of Rift applies to the target, up to a maximum of 3 charges. What Rift does is reduces armor by 2 per charge. So you can decrease the target's armor by 6 at most. Also, another interesting thing to note is that actually getting multiple Rift Shards would be an interesting strategy, because if someone else procs it, the duration of all of the charges will reset, even your ones. So in total, you can get to -6 armor, but most of the time you will proc it once or twice on the same target, so -2 or -4 armor at most if you're lucky. Now the question is, would you upgrade the item for the minus armor? Like, would there be any purpose to upgrade the item, buy more recipes, if you were just building it for the minus armor? Yes, because the chance increases. It's 10, 13, 16, and 20%, I think, or something like that. So higher chance to proc means higher chance to get minus armor, so it scales automatically. And also this adds another option to minus armor stacking. You get a shield breaker, you get a soul's bulwark on minus armor, and now you can get rift shards to deal even more damage, to stack even more minus armor, and yeah, even better against tanky heroes. After the Drunken Master nerf, nobody really gets this item. The reason you got it on Drunken Master was because his first skill applies the shield breaker effect of -6 armor and deals physical damage as well. So that's why you got it on Drunken Master, but he was nerfed and nobody does it anyway anymore because Drunken Master is trash. So this change, I'm proposing that it now gives you a chance to apply minus armor. This might still not be enough of a buff because, well, -2 armor, as good as it is, the chance is pretty small still. But, you know, it gives options, it increases the depth of the game, and just makes rift shards perhaps worth picking up. Next we have a spell shards buff. This item is weak because, well, it costs 4.6 thousand gold, and it's countered more or less by a 400 gold item, which is Mystic Vestments. So the item ignores up to 6 magic armor, and you can get 5 magic armor for 400 gold. And if you get a Shaman's Headdress, then it's completely nullified. And Shaman's Headdress is like less than half of the price of spell shards. So upgrading spell shards gives you cooldown reductions, like 3, 6, 9%, which is not much at all. It's like barely anything. And the magic armor penetration. That's it. That's all you get for spending crazy amounts of gold. Like, the bonuses from the Arcana stay the same. So it's just better to get a Hellflower, because that like costs roughly the same gold and gives you up to like a ton of more damage, a silence. Yeah. So what I'm proposing is now spell shards gives +3 damage per level, +2 attack speed per level, +1 intelligence per level, +10% more mana regen per level, and +2% more cooldown reduction per level. So if you do the math, with everything except cooldown reductions, it's still about only half of the gold you spend pays off. Like a bit more, but only half of the gold without the cooldown reduction. And with cooldown reductions, it's probably like 3/4 or something. So basically this item still does not pay for itself even with these buffs. But that's a start. It's more of a balanced suggestion. But yeah, this item is just bad at the moment. Next we have Staff of the Master, which is just bad. The problem with this item is that upon completion you get nothing out of it except for the ultimate effect. What's more of a problem is that you are paying 3,000 gold to get +10 to all stats. Yeah, people shouting, but anyway. You spend 3,000 gold to get +10 for all stats. What other items give +10 to all stats? A Blessed Orb. A Blessed Orb gives you +10 to all stats for 2.1k. 2.1 thousand, which is 800 less gold. So basically you're overpaying 900 gold for just the ultimate effect. You know, most items, when you complete the recipe, actually give you a bonus because, well, that's the point. They actually make the item even that much stronger for the gold you spend. But not this item. This item is actually questionable because it doesn't really give you much of a bonus when you complete it. And if your ultimate is not boosted, then this item is completely worthless because you're just spending more gold than this stats that it gives, which is like super worse and bad. So in a perfect world, we would have a Staff of the Master effect for every hero, and it would be unique and balanced and not just crappy plus 200 damage boost, which is still not worth the gold still. That's why it's still bad. But that's a perfect world. It needs a lot of work. I don't think S2 will do that, so I'm proposing we just buff it slightly. So now it would give 50 more health and 50 more mana, so it's now plus 250 health and plus 200 mana. So trying to make the item pay for itself more. And let's add a unique effect that was present on one item before but got removed. It increases cast speed, plus 25 cast speed. So helping the item just pay for itself, just a buff. I'm not going too far into the thought process, and I am adding this cast speed effect because it sounds cool. But do we really need it? Well, we might, because there are no other options, like no other item gives this. So with these buffs, perhaps this item would be worth picking up even if your ultimate is not boosted. Of course, in a perfect world, I would still want all heroes to have Staff of the Master effects, but even if you pick this item, this new buffed version, on a hero that does get his ultimate boosted, it's still questionable. But at least it could be okay now. I'm not sure. Still might be worthless and like a waste of gold. But it's a start. And 25 cast speed is like 25% cast speed, which, for example, if your cast animation time is 0.3 seconds, like with 3/10 of a second, the new cast animation will be 0.24 seconds, which is 60 milliseconds faster, which is 0.06 seconds faster. Not too much, but yeah, better than nothing and something unique. So a buff to Staff of the Master, if you will. Yep. Next we have Wingbow change. This is quite simple. I propose we change the evasion to heal block. So 30% chance evasion is changed to 30% chance to heal block. And I'll explain what a heal block is. And I'm really bad with names, but the problem with this item is, since Savage Mace is such a good damage item, most people just get it because it's just so good. It even helps chase people because the mini stun stops them for a second, well, a fraction of a second. So, and Savage Mace also has True Strike. Most of the time people don't get Savage Mace to counter Wingbow, they just get it because it's good, and consequently it also counters Wingbow, which is why nobody picks it up. So what's a heal block? Well, first of all, it's a block, it's not evasion, so True Strike would not counter this item. You would still have a 30% chance to evade an attack. So that hopefully might fix Wingbow. Also, why heal block and not just a block? Like, what's a block? What's a heal block anyway? A heal block is like Kronos' rewind skill, which when you take damage you get healed back. Except that it would be instant instead of over time. And it wouldn't just work on any damage, it would still only work on attacks. So it doesn't work like on skilled and stuff, only on just normal attacks, auto attacks. So say when you take 200 damage, you're instantly healed in that instant for 200. So it looks like you didn't take any damage, but actually you took damage and got healed. So this would make True Strike not counter this ability. So the last question is, why heal block and not just block? Well, that's because Barbed Armor. Barbed Armor is quite an underused item, and I want to make a Wingbow plus Barbed Armor combination possible, because Barbed Armor, when you get it in Chronos, when you turn it on and block damage with Rewind, it actually still reflects the damage, because, well, you still took it, but you get healed. So Barbed Armor just making this item more viable because it's not used, and just making it an interesting combo with Wingbow. Wingbow plus Barbed Armor possible. That's it. Restoration Stone. I think everyone will agree this item is pretty bad because so much mana it costs to use. Like, even level 16 and higher with stats, like when you put skill points into stats, you still most of the time don't have enough mana to use all of your skills twice, plus the 300 mana cost of this item. And the cooldown is huge as well. So For a start, nobody picks up this item unless it's like a team that is already dominating. Might as well get it, you know. So I propose we reduce the mana cost from 300 to 150. This might still not be enough of a buff, but it's a start. Hopefully this item will be seen more as the effect is quite unique. Next I want to mention is almost last change, Puzzle Box. Now Puzzle Box, the reason it's not used I think is because the duration is only 35 seconds and the cooldown is 90 seconds. So since the duration is so small and the effect is kind of unique, people just wait for the perfect opportunity to use this item, which doesn't really come that often. So you also take into account that minions can die quite easily, by the way. They're not that strong or overpowered. And you get, I think, about 5% chance that, I mean not 5% of the time that minions are actually alive. So you buy this item, but it's only useful 5% of the time, which is a problem. So the reason the original limit on the puzzle box was introduced, like, you know, you can't buy too many recipes, you need to wait, you can get multiple of the item, like you cannot get 5 puzzle boxes level 3, it was because of how good this item was for pushing. Imagine every hero got one of these items and leveled it up to level 3. So that's 10 super well, not super, but really strong minions every 90 seconds. That would be crazy good for pushing, and it is. And most tournaments just banned getting more than 2 of puzzle boxes. And yeah, the item was nerfed in this way not to be too overpowered. The problem was the item is not that strong if you don't get many of it. So how to buff it? I thought, well, reducing the cooldown is out of question because that would make pushes stronger because you could summon them more often and pushing would be easier. And even though I like that, that's the reason why this item got nerfed in the first place. So I thought, let's increase the duration then from 35 to 60 seconds. So that's more than half. So now, with more than half, people would not be as afraid of missing that perfect moment, like say when trying to reveal a scout or when killing heroes or pushing towers, and would actually use this item more often on just normal stuff, and perhaps even start using it for farming on neutrals, like just summon the 2 creeps and just help you farm. By the way, another problem with this item is how much micro it requires, and the speed aura that the ranged creep gives is only 350 range AoE, so it requires quite a bit of micro. That's a problem, but okay. So by raising the duration and people just summoning minions more often, I'd say that from 5% would skyrocket and minions would be used 30 to 40% of the time. So it's not like a direct buff. The minions are not stronger or anything, the recipe is not changed, just that you can use the minions more often now. You're like encouraged to use minions more. Also, I don't want invisibility heroes to be nerfed any further because it's already really easy to reveal them with a bound eye. So True Sight. Right now the big creep has True Sight on level 3 and it lasts for the entire duration of 35 seconds while he's alive. If minions are going to be summoned much more and will be alive for longer, I think this should be nerfed. So instead of being 60 seconds and like always having this ability, the minion would only have this ability for 30 seconds after being summoned. So half the duration and the True Sight would just disappear. He would no longer reveal invisible units after 30 seconds. So this could be a graphical effect, like for example a blue eye above the unit just shouting. So with this, the invisibility heroes, like heroes that use invisibility, would not be nerfed too much, and this item would become more viable, I hope. It's an interesting item, so that's a way to buff Puzzle Box. And last but not least, I have 2 changes for you that are not originally mine, and I'm just posting them, so please vote on those as well if you can. So first is Doombringer. I think everyone will agree we don't see this item enough. I thought about creating a new series where I just get Doombringer no matter what. I like get a Doombringer guaranteed in the game. I just go for it. So like a man up series or something. But anyway, Doombringer does have its problems, and that is most of the time you get a Doombringer, you lose the game. Like if you take the statistics, I'm pretty sure you would lose most of your games where you get a Doombringer, because like developers and everyone just says it's a good last resort item when you're about to lose a game and you just get it and you turn it around. But if you're about to lose the game, then chances are if you get this item, you're probably going to lose it and lose even harder. So that's why I think it happens. So I propose an interesting change that many have suggested before me, so I take only a bit of credit for it. On kill, when you kill someone, like not assist, but when you kill someone with a Doombringer, like when you have it, you permanently get 10 damage forever, up to a maximum of 100 damage on 10 kills. So it doesn't matter how many Doombringers you have, the limit stays the same, and you still get just 10 damage for one kill. So this cannot be dispelled, does not disappear when you die. That's permanent 10 damage forever if you kill someone while they're holding a Doombringer. So this does a few things, and one of the things is that it's not as hard to lose a Doombringer and get a Doombringer, because if you manage to get like a few kills, like say 40 damage, and you die, you lose the Doombringer, then yeah, the enemy gains your Doombringer, but you still have that 40 damage. So yeah, kind of an interesting choice. Do I get a Doombringer and try to get a few kills for the bonus damage, or do I not do that? So hopefully making this item more viable, and this is of course just a buff. The problem with just increasing the damage this item gives, like from 250 to 300, is that just increases the risk. Doesn't really help too much. It's down. And last not least, we have Bound Die. Also not my suggestion, was suggested by others and by competitive players as well. Add a cooldown on the Bound Die in the shop. So when you buy it, there's an 8-minute cooldown where you cannot buy another eye, because late game it's way too easy to counter invisibility heroes like Scout, for example, and Nighthound, and also the reason why we don't see them in the competitive scene at all, because, well, they are too easily counterable. And even in pop games, you often have like 5 bound dies purchased by one team in a single game, which is ridiculous. There's no consequences. You die, yeah, 700 gold lost, big deal. Like, when a courier dies, you lose much more gold than if it had items, even more. So you just buy a new bound die, big deal. So this is a nerf to that, to make invisible heroes more viable, because you can still get Words of Revelation and Dust, just like there's more consequences to actually dying with a bound die. And I have news for you. I have thought about it, and if you think this change is not needed, like it's already really hard to counter invisible heroes, if you think that, then I have news for you. You are most likely a noob. I'm sorry, I just had to say it. But don't worry, this doesn't affect you too much, because probably in your games people don't get bound dies anyway, or like get one at most. So yeah, I think this change is needed, but the idea is not originally mine, though I do agree with it, because invisible heroes do need help. I want to see a Scout in a competitive match, okay? So yeah, that's everything. God, please, if you can't, just follow the links, like, even if you can follow a couple of links, like not all of them, at least follow a couple. It would be awesome if you followed all of them. Vote, and if you can, comment. I remind you that if you're not logged in, just log in with your normal HUN account. Like, the forums use the same accounts that you use in game. So log in, vote. Let's try get more votes, and make this, give the suggestions more legitimacy, so that maybe someday later I can tell one of the S2 devs, like, hey, take a look at these suggestions, they have a lot of votes. Maybe they have something to them, because they do make quite a bit of sense. And I mean, most of the items I mentioned are underused, incredibly underused. Like, almost never see them. Like, if you take a look at the item usage statistics, and like the last 7 or 6 items, apart from Void Talisman, which I think is okay, people just don't pick it up enough because they forget about it, but apart from Void Talisman, the last like 6 items or something are mentioned in this video, because they have problems. But anyway, that's it for my suggestions. That's it for my explanations of 2 types of thinking. Talked about the heroes, even talked about the community somehow. Oh my god. Oh. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is more of a talk video. I warned you at the start, so put a lot of time in this video. And also, I'm probably going to be gone in the next week or a few weeks, most likely a few weeks. So don't expect too many videos, if any videos at all, for the next few weeks, but this should not take more than a month. It will definitely take much less than a month. So, and I will continue doing videos, and I will be releasing them much more often, like much more often. And in the summer, you can expect 2 or 3 videos a day sometimes. Like, honestly, I can't do that because I'll be doing something. Anyway, see you next time, which will hopefully be soon, but not for a week or 2 or 3. But after that, I'll see you for more videos and more hunt action. Hope you enjoyed this talk and hope you took something from it. When you're thinking about something, when you want to do something, question yourself, why am I doing this? Is there a better way to do this? It's not really reflective thinking, because reflective thinking is thinking when you've already done this and you think, well, could I have done it better? No, think now. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm dying. See you next time, guys.